Hello you, and happy Friday. Thanks for getting these in, and well done once again. I've just been having a read through, and they already look quite good. I do hope that everything's progressing well, and that you're looking forward to your exam. It's Andrew again, by the way. What I'll do today, same as usual, I have a quick read through, and we'll see how well you've expressed your ideas. Let us begin. So my first point here is that general public only refers to people. So saying people in the general public implies that there is something other than people there as well, which there isn't. So we can just say the general public. We know that's about people. So the general public have different views about whether teachers should focus, because we're talking about a moral imperative. If we discuss what we think people ought to do, what we think people should be doing, then we must use the conditional. Should is when we're advising what people must do. So whether teachers should focus on boosting students' educational achievement, or whether to introduce more fun into learning. Introduce more fun into learning, or to make learning more fun. In my opinion, stimulating students' academic and scientific interests, I would use the plural there, interests, should be the ultimate goal of the schooling system, rather than just imparting knowledge to get a higher score on examinations. Cool. So before I carry on, I'll just say, that's very good. But now that I've read that, I'm expecting a discussion later on, I suppose, on teaching the exam. You know how in modern teaching and modern school systems struggle quite a lot because they're often just trying to teach people how to pass the exam, and they're not trying to get people to actually understand a subject or to be experienced in it. So I'm hoping that you'll expand that idea somewhere in the essay. Let's keep reading. Some parents argue that the purpose of sending their children to school, no plural, school, is just because... okay, let's neaten that up a bit. Some parents argue that the purpose of sending their children to school is solely to access a prestigious university. They tend to think that schools shouldn't be entertaining, since it would just waste precious time. See, things like this, these are very speaking-orientated phrases, and in writing we must be as concise and accurate as possible. So they tend to hold the belief, or they tend to think, that schools should not be entertaining. So we also don't use conjunctions in academic essays. There are rules regarding conjunctions in academic essays, and you are allowed to use them sparingly if it's appropriate. But given that that's a very complex native understanding, what we tend to tell people is to not use conjunctions in academic essays. It's just better to stay away from them, because it's likely that you could make mistakes if you try to use them appropriately. So no conjunctions, should not. They tend to hold the belief, they tend to think that schools should not be entertaining. As it is considered wasteful, and reduces accomplishment, or results in perceived underperformance in tests. For example, they fiercely complain. Okay, so this is a bit overly descriptive. It brings a little bit of emotion into it, and bringing emotion into academic essays is it's not appropriate, because we're trying to be factual, we're trying to tell the truth. So when we use emotion, it feels slightly manipulative, because it feels like you're trying to get a point across in a way that is not academic. Feelings are not academic. So for example, parents frequently complain. that educational games or we could say that computing-based educational games do not, another conjunction, or contraction, sorry, not conjunction, I'm speaking incorrectly. No contractions in academic essays. I may have said the word conjunction many times. I actually meant no contractions. No contractions in academic essays. So, they frequently complain that computer-based educational games do not contribute to improving test scores or standardized test scores, and serve simply to distract students, I would say. But then we need a thus. You've missed a sentence off the end. Thus, there is a perception, or there is a prevailing idea. There is a prevailing idea, or the idea is currently popular, but I think prevailing idea. There is a prevailing idea that education cannot be fun. So we've talked about the fact that technology distracts people and doesn't contribute to test scores. So we can say there's a prevailing idea that education should not be fun. However, in my opinion, I think we should remove this here. I only like to include personal pronouns in the intro and the conclusion when we're stating our opinion. In body paragraphs, it's facts alone, only facts in the body paragraphs. Introduce the area, expand into it, give an example to support it, and then summarize and explain it at the end, but it should be a fact. You're in academic essays, you're taking a fact and building around it somewhat with your own thoughts. But it's all rooted to the fact, and it's all based in fact. So let's keep it that way. So for instance, it allows students to realise that studying and gaining knowledge is actually fun rather than boring. See, this is not, this doesn't necessarily need a for instance. So you could just say, putting effort into providing more entertaining classes has long-term benefits. It could allow students to realise, or I suppose, I would say it could motivate students to learn more or learn further or gain more knowledge by engaging them more. Because, you know, fun is more engaging than just words alone. So yeah, take away this for instance and make this more general. So we've got the fact that long-term benefits exist from fun classes in the first sentence. And then give a bit more detail about what those long-term benefits are in a general sentence. And then your example here, which supports it, that there is a strong correlation between people's lifetime earnings and the positive perception of learning. Correct preposition there, the perception of learning, when they are primary school students. Good. It is also noted that children tend to think learning is boring when teachers just teach how to better score examinations. How can we say that better? Because we've said boring and learning a lot of times, and the word think as well. We need to stay away from repetition. And here, because you've put it is also noted, and maybe just use the word additionally or furthermore. Furthermore, it is clear that, or furthermore, children come to believe that learning is dull if a teacher only teaches the exam. Because in English we can say it to teach the exam. Is that what you're describing? You're describing a teacher that doesn't really teach the subject, doesn't impart knowledge, doesn't share experience, but just teaches the exam because they have a target and they need to achieve that target, and as a result children's education suffers. That's what I believe anyway. So additionally, children come to believe that learning is dull if teachers simply teach the exam. Therefore, this clearly demonstrates the importance of engagement in learning, or fun and engagement, because fun is engaging, it engages us. So here as well, this is a bit short, I would say, to conclude. So we don't need this here, we never need this. People have just read it, so we don't need to remind them. But I would say, to conclude, I believe that it is, I would say, imperative. If we want to say something is essential or necessary, we can also say that it is imperative. I believe that it is imperative for teachers to introduce fun into the classroom, not only to engage children in learning, but to develop positive habits for the future. So we're always talking, when we're talking about children, we're always talking about their development, aren't we? We're always talking about what we can do for them today which will benefit them in the future. But I have to say, your grammar is great, very smooth. But please do take out these contractions, stick an extra sentence on here, and I've offered some rephrasings and some smoothing out advice. If you could apply that and give it a good read through yourself, study it a bit, you'll be able to slowly adopt a bit more style. Another thing that helps with these videos, these video corrections, is listening to me speak, really. Not only will that improve your listening, but you should be listening for new vocabulary and applying it yourself. So here's your task 1. So the line chart illustrates the total income. So we don't need to say who published, or not, certainly not in a separate term. You could say the line charts. Oh no, there's a pie chart and a line chart, of course. So the line chart illustrates the total income from special trade zones. So we could say above are 2 charts from the IMF, or from the IMF World Bank. The line chart illustrates the total income, special trade zone countries in the 90s, while the pie chart gives information about the global exports. I'd say global exports, yeah. Take away that Asian and just put an S there. Exports from 9 countries in the year 2000. Both charts were published. Oh yeah, sorry. So remove that bit. We can clearly see from the line graph that the total income continued to rise gradually until it reached the highest point at 1997. Try to give some data here as well to back this up. You don't have to recount every single point of data and every single number, but if you make a point about a rise, you should really say, or have you done that afterwards? Am I speaking too soon? Yeah, so I can see you have expanded this. And I would say just above, slightly above, because just above 120 billion US dollars to approximately 175. Oh, so it's 120,000 billion US dollars. There is a way to write this. I'll tell you what, I'll do it down here, just like that. Because the dollar is used in many countries. So sometimes we have to specify. So we could say if it was Canadian, Australian, there are many dollars. So the way that we specify currency is using the country code first in capitals, the dollar sign, the number, and then the quantity. Easy peasy. Now, I'm also a professional writer myself, so this is the very last article I wrote just before I came on the microphone to you. Now, this is not entirely academic because it's for a blog, but this is the sort of technical language that we're expecting to see in IELTS. So if you want to have a quick glance through this, you would probably be able to pull out some useful phrases. Now this is specifically about a graphite mine that's opening in Madagascar. So it's an investment blog article. I wrote it, so I'm perfectly free to show it to you. So if you want to take anything from there, feel free. I don't know whether there's anything useful in there for you. So here, I would say for the first 7 years, the value increased from just above 120,000 billion US dollars, written in the correct manner, to approximately, and then we need to write it here as well. You can't just leave this without any markers as to the quantity or what it is. We don't know anything about this number. I would say, and increased from 2 until 1997, where it plateaued for 3 years. This could be all one sentence. Up to 1997, or until 1997, where it plateaued for 3 years. From the pie chart, it can be seen that Benjiland, Jamesland and Andyland were the 3 largest countries. Also, please write out numbers like this one fully. This one as well. When you're talking about dates, it's fine. Years. And when you're talking about numbers so large as this, then there's the currency convention as well. But when you've just got a single number, it's really not proper to put it in as a number. It should be spelt out. That I like to give a rule of thumb. It's a very general rule, that if your number is under 10, if it's a single digit number, then you really should write it out. If it's double digits, 10 to 99, the choice is yours. You can or you don't have to. But if it's 3 digits or over, then you can put the number. But if it is under 10, I would really spell it out. It gives a better impression. It's much more formal. So the sum of the 3 nations accounted for more than half of the global share, or half of the entire global share. On the other hand, Joeland and Peterland had a smaller share than the other countries, being only 1/8, or representing, so comma, representing only 1/8 of the figure for Benziland, or Ben Island. Benziland, Ben Island, which one is it? Boom, 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 boom. Well done on the 1/8 hyphenation. That was very smooth. The rest of the countries, comma, namely Timsland, Fredland, Herbertland and Darrenland, had approximately 10 to 15% of the total share. You don't need the from. 10 to 15% of the total share is absolutely fine. I would add an in conclusion here as well, something that you can say about it. Just something small. A general observation, but completely factual. Very, very important in these data tasks that we don't add information of our own, but that we only take the facts from the graph. But it is still possible to summarize them in an effective manner. So there we go. There is yet another extra pack question completed, and I'm continuing to be impressed by your writing. If you like to receive, well, anything else from me, some additional writings, maybe links to my blog posts for you to study, to take language from, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to send you whatever you need. But until I receive your next tasks, have a wonderful time and good luck. All the best to you.